am going to bring in Ashley, our next lovely lady I get to talk to. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
Hi, always a pleasure to talk to Ashley. You guys are going to love Ashley. So let's dive in. if they
All
don't
right.
already know you, Ashley, what do people need to know about you? What's your background?
I good question. I've got about 10 years of background in real estate tech. That was anything from I started in tech support, did QA, did some product stuff, switched divisions, did onboarding and success, and then switched divisions again and did some marketing and actually teaching real estate and mortgage people how to market. And through just exploring those things, I've discovered I like the data side of marketing. And so now I am running test programs for a company called Chrometrics. And we handle accounts that are national brands and all sorts of fun things. And I keep the trains running, which I love.
Wow.
Loving the new job.
Yeah. And I know one of your, like, we share the same value of like family. We have children the same age and everything. So what is, like, as you're changing your career, you're trying to, a few months ago, figure your career and your life out. Like, what are some of those things that you really wanted to see in your career? Because I know you made a list.
Oh, I had, yeah. I actually haven't had it kind of pulled up because I knew you were going to ask me. It I actually wound up doing like this, you can't really read it, but it's a prayer thing that is like basically 18 bullet points of what I wanted my new job to be. And the biggest thing for me is getting back my commute time, which is before COVID and all of that. For pretty much my entire career, I know at least my marriage and a little bit beyond that. So for probably about the last 10, 11 years, I'd been commuting a minimum of 10 hours a week. And sometimes it would get longer if traffic decided to get extra special, like it can do. Um, and that was 10 hours I didn't get to spend with my family. Yeah, I got to read some wonderful business, books and some other audio books. That's usually how I spent my commutes, just because that's something you can do while driving. Legally. But it was just, honestly, it was getting back time with my family. My oldest will be 7 on the 11th. He
Goodness.
has Asperger's, so being able to be flexible and be there if he needs me or something at school. We're really lucky in the district that we're in. They're so good with him. But then again, I also have a little one that's about a year and a half and some change now. So not wanting to miss with him, and also to better support my husband, who for the majority of the shared kid life has been the primary caregiver while also working a graveyard shift. And I wanted to let him either sleep more or find a way that I could work with his schedule to get everything in a better balance for our family, and also to take on my share of the housework a bit more, because that's something I've struggled with, not being made to do chores growing up. So I had to relearn all of that as an adult, and it's still a work in progress, but my house is still cleaner than it's ever been lately, so yay.
Hey, we gotta count those small successes, right? So
Yes.
so what were those? Okay, so you made a list not about like January, I think, or when was this list made?
Ooh, good question.
December,
There is no.
January.
I would say probably December, January is right, because with some of this stuff, it was when I really, really hit those strides in Love Your Career formula, where it's like, let's write all this out.
Yeah.
Because I've
So
been
you made
kind
it.
of thinking about like moving on about July, August-ish, because I
Yeah.
worked at a startup, And we had some stuff that shifted around, and I'm just like, I don't want to still be in this, what was supposed to be a temporary position, because I was hired in as a director for customer success. Had some restructuring that happens occasionally in startups, and wound up being in a reduced role. So I stayed and had a pay cut there because I believed in what we were doing and I believed in our product. But it kind of reached the point where it's like realizing that I've been in this role for 2 years, and just the amount of income loss that had been as well. And not being happy with what I was doing in my day to day, because it was stuff I'd kind of done my whole career. I wasn't being challenged. And so it was really around like, because I'd been part of CRP since I want to say 2017, somewhere around there, and I'd gone through that course and kind of been doing it at my pace. There was also a long period where it was like, hey, I got pregnant in that time, so of course I got tired and didn't do a lot of stuff.
So how did you learn about, how did you come into contact with us? Like, how did you learn about it?
Reasonably sure it was intercom ad. Instagram ad.
Instagram ad. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Instagram to the webinar. And then I'd done like, create your own business courses and stuff like that before. I mentioned I read a lot of like business theory books and all of that. That was the bulk of my reading during the commutes. But finding the time and like knowing where even to begin, that's what had brought me to CRP in the first place. And then last September, well, for me I think it was September, because I betaed kind of the new class site to help you.
Yeah, you did.
Since I have a tech background. And that was when I got access to Love Your Career Formula. And I remember you saying, it was like, hey, I'm really curious to see what it is, because I was very much in that in-between place of, I like working for somebody else and I like having a job that challenges me, but I also have this entrepreneurial streak that wants to do that, but I'm not ready to take on that level of risk. So where does that place me?
And that's the best part of class now too, because what Ashley's talking about, since she's been around since 2017, is I used to have 2 memberships. Now we have 1. And so every member has access to both sides, which is our business growth side, corporate rescue plan, and our job search success path, which is Love Your Career Formula. So there's 2 different paths, and there's an assessment that will tell you which path that you should start with. But Ashley is our tester, who has now have you completed both paths? Have you done corporate rescue plan and Love Your Career Formula?
I got through phase 2 of CRP, of corporate rescue plan, when I took the evaluation and jumped over to Love Your Career Formula, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to find another job, I want to be intentional about it. I don't want it to just take the next thing that comes along or whatever I get handed by a recruiter that sounds good. I want to make sure that I know what I'm looking for, so when I find that fit, I know it when I see it. And yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, is figuring out what your ideal career is first. And then we also have a lot of people who are doing both at the same time. Years ago, I was job searching and I had this blog business. And so I have a feeling you're the same, Ashley. You're going to start something on the side possibly and have your job too. So that's what I love about the new class membership, is you can bounce between the 2.
Yeah, and there's stuff that I knew and had kind of done in CRP that informed. I think is it phase 2? That's the calling college or whatever.
Yeah,
the one that you go through like the deep self-evaluation, because I had already been kind of doing that through class and just through some other stuff that I'd been doing at my church as well. It made getting through that long, like phase 2 tends to be your longer phases, but it's like you need to go through all of this stuff in order for the things that come in 3, 4, and 5 to even make sense. Because it's like, cool, you can go out and execute of like, hey, now I'm doing all my Instagram strategy stuff. well, are you capturing any of that traffic? Do you have that foundation where you've got the business infrastructure? Because that's the other side that I geek out on, is like business infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then it's like you spend so much time on that. It's like, okay, cool.
And I
Business.
remember one point you said you were using the training to like at your work too. Like you were presenting something at your work and you were utilizing some of the business resources too, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, especially like the time management stuff. Just because of the nature of the team that I was on, we're
That's
all
come up a
success
lot today.
coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a team. I don't think it ever grew any bigger than the three of us, because they had to hire like 2 or 3 people to replace me. It was funny. But I was also doing like 3 or 4 jobs, but even
Yeah.
then it was like this isn't where I wanted to be. And the main reason is like any funding that we got, I knew, because I knew the product as well, and I um, communicated with that side of the house. I said that there was an office of 9 people, so of course.
Mm.
But I knew that's where the capital needed to go. So through some of this behind the scenes into like how a CEO works and all of that, it helped me understand and be able to foresee some of the decisions that were coming, and even be able to be a voice of like, hey, there's this and this out there. Have you guys looked at these things? Um,
Nice.
so
So what do you think would have happened if you would have continued along the same path and not used our resources along 2 different success paths that you've been able to go on?
yeah. Well, first of all, if I hadn't joined CRP, I don't know that even this career move into a new industry that I love would really have happened, or at least definitely not in the same way, because like through this, the networking that's encouraged. How I found out about this posting is I don't know anybody. Well, now I do, but I didn't at the time know anyone that worked for Chrometrics. Didn't really even know anyone in this industry, because the AB website testing market, um, is, can be a subset of analysis, but it's what takes the analysis and makes it actionable, for analytics. But it's an emerging industry.
Mhm.
So again, found a career that never would have ever known it existed, but it was through participating in my local organizations, Oklahoma Women in Technology, Techlahoma,
Mm.
and those that I met people. And when they knew I was looking, it was, hey, have you tried this, or this? There's a co-working area in Oklahoma City that hosts a lot of the events. And I met a gentleman who was also in customer success and had worked for companies in Europe. And he was like, hey, here's how you can, find these remote careers. So I was actually, my start date was February 24th. So I started like 2 weeks before all of this really blew up. So
Yeah.
it was already nice to not have to worry about oh gosh, now I've got to figure out how to run and do all this stuff.
And when we talk
Remote.
about like results too, of like, so in the beginning we talked about that list you made, and I remember you saying that just a few weeks ago, like you were in the career, and how many things on that list came true?
Like every single one of them that I'm looking at.
How
So like
awesome is that?
it's a very specific list of 18 too. And I just find that incredible, but it just shows that like when you're really intentional, and I do believe in the power of prayer, uh, and you take action alongside that prayer and like listen to kind of like your intuition and the guidance, and for me that's God. um it's incredible what comes about with a little faith. And there were times where like I remember, I think you and I were talking about this in um it was beginning of January, because I applied for Chrometrics on January 8th. I also have a really strong head for dates, which is why all these are in my brain. But
Seriously.
but it was, I was in a really, not necessarily dark place, but I was really frustrated, depressed, and stressed out, honestly, about this job hunt, because I had been looking, since about mid-September, very seriously looking since end of October, early November, which, spoiler alert, that's usually the worst quarter to search, I've learned. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still be planting seeds, because I did connect with some recruiters and I had some other stuff come up, but you never, again, it's the networking, because it's not necessarily knowing the person at the company. For me, it was randomly meeting somebody at a co-working space because I was there for our monthly meeting for the UX Oklahoma group. So
yeah, you just never know where that connection is going to be. So where can people find you online, Ashley?
Right now, just because I don't yet have the blog or anything up.
I know, as I said that, I was like, wait, does she have a blog? I don't think she has a...
No, not yet. Because
well, if you're in class, you'll find her.
Yes, I'm usually in the Facebook group, but you guys can also find me on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn /in, the word in, IN, and then / Ashley L. Clayton. Or Clayton. Yeah. I guess I should pronounce my name and enunciate.
Well, Ashley, it's been so fun to watch you progress and grow and move through. Well, I guess for me, like when I create something, you create these tasks for people and then you get to see people go through them. It's like very fulfilling. And obviously seeing you like write out that job description that you wanted and then seeing you get it too. So I'm just so happy for you and excited to see you continue. This is just the beginning for you. I mean,
now that I've got that, and I've gotten stuff kind of settled, because the next thing, and this is something to be aware too of when you're in like CRP or Love Your Career Formula, the personal, the thing that I like that you teach is like the personal and the professional, like they intertwine and they overlap. And right now in this season that I'm in, it's kicking rear end at my with my first 90 days, and I've already done that, and it's continuing to be on that trajectory, but also getting my own household, quite literally, in order, so that way I'm freeing up time, because instead of letting everything pile up and having to do all the housework at once, we're working in maintenance routines, as a family too, because my sons are going to know how to do chores, because those are life skills.
Definitely. Right there with you. See, we're living the same life over here too, I think.
I just have boys. She's got girls. But yeah, so even in the different seasons, still being able to connect to the community has helped, because even if I can't actively work on something, I'm usually like, oh, hey, chiming in or helping.
Yes, you are.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
You're welcome. But putting time in to get even just personal stuff in order frees up so much time down the road that I know I'm going to be thanking my past self for getting these things set up and going now, even though, yes, I really, really want to be running as hard as I can in CRP. It's also just being open and giving yourself grace for those seasons, but leaning on the community in those seasons too.
Yes. Awesome. And Elsa says hello. And she also says, yes, ma'am, prayer work. I love it. So that will sign us off of our interview with Ashley. Thank you so much, Ashley, for being here today. So fun to talk to you as always. Hope to see you on our coaching call.